Ever since Genshin Impact first mentioned the Grand Master of the Knights of Favonius, players have been waiting for Varka to step onto the battlefield. And now that he's here, he absolutely delivers. Wielding dual claymores and commanding the power of Animo alongside his allies' elements, Varka is a hyper-scaling, team-reactive DPS who rewards smart party building and aggressive play. In this guide, we're going to break down his entire kit, how his abilities work, what makes Sturm und Drang so powerful, how to maximize his passive buffs, and what kind of teams to truly unlock his full potential. Varka's normal attack string, Favonius Bladework, Dancing Radiance, already sets him apart. He performs up to 5 consecutive dual claymore strikes with impressive multipliers at level 10, and many of his hits are split instances, meaning they scale exponentially well with buffs and damage bonuses. His charged attack consumes 50 stamina for a heavy dual slash, while his plunging attack offers solid AoE scaling, but it's important to note that once you enter his enhanced state, plunging is disabled. This means his base kit is strong, but clearly designed to funnel you into his elemental skill window. His elemental skill, Windbound Execution, is the core of his gameplay. On tap, Varka lunges forward, dealing massive AoE Animo damage over 500% at level 10, and enters Sturm und Drang mode for 12 seconds. In this state, his normal and charged attack multipliers increase significantly, and his dual blades begin dealing additional elemental damage based on the elements present in your party. This infusion cannot be overridden, which makes his damage extremely consistent. Even more importantly, if you have a Pyro, Hydro, Electro, or Cryo teammates, his skill converts into 4 Winds Ascension, unlocking a powerful Elemental plus Animo hybrid state and granting access to Azure Devour, a stamina-free charged attack with multiple high-scaling hits. This transforms Varka into a relentless on-field DPS who thrives during his window. Holding his skill instead changes the functionality into a mobility tool with a shorter cooldown, useful for repositioning or overworld traversal, especially since its cooldown can be reduced further by Mondstadt teammates thanks to his homebound winds Payon passive. While that passive cannot work in Abyss or Domains, it reinforces his thematic synergy with Mondstadt units in open world content. His burst Northwind avatar is a front-loaded double slash with massive scaling, over 600% on the first hit and 326% on the second at level 10. If you bring a Pyro, Hydro, Electro, or Cryo teammate, the first slash converts that element based on priority order, enabling reaction setups before the second Animo hit lands. With only a 60 energy cost and 15-second cooldown, it fits cleanly into his rotation and adds a strong front-loaded damage. Now, let's talk about what truly pushes Varka into the top-tier DPS territory, his passives. Dawnwind's March gives him scaling Animo and corresponding elemental damage bonus based on his attack, about 10% per 1000 attack up to 25%. That means building high attack doesn't just improve his base scaling, it provides amplifiers for his elemental output. On top of that, if you run double Animo or double Pyro, Hydro, Electro, or Cryo, his Sturm und Drang attacks can deal 140% of their original damage. And if you manage both double Animo and double of another qualifying element, that multiplier skyrockets to 220%. That's a massive amplification that heavily rewards intentional team building. Wind's Vanguard further increases his damage whenever teammates trigger swirl reactions, granting stacking buffs up to 30% increased damage to his enhanced attacks. This makes him synergize incredibly well with off-field elemental applications who can consistently feed him swirls during his field time. Overall, Varka is a team-scaling hypercarry whose damage ceiling depends directly on how well you build around him. He rewards high attack investment, multi-element synergy, and aggressive rotations centered around his 12-second Sturm und Drang window. In the rest of this guide, we'll break down artifacts, weapon choices, and best team compositions and optimal rotations so you can unleash the true might of the Knight of Boreas. Alright, now that we've broken down how Varka's kit works in Genshin Impact, let's talk about weapons, because this is where his damage ceiling really starts to separate whales from low spenders and free-to-play players. That said, based on current data we have, a very clear hierarchy emerges. At the very top, no surprise here, is his signature weapon, Ballad of the Mighty Wolf. This is Varka's best in slot by a noticeable margin. You're getting 608 base attack, 33.1% crit rate, 30% crit damage, and a 30% damage bonus, and 10% attack speed. That stat profile alone is absurdly synergistic with Sturm und Drang. Faster attack speed means more hits during his 12-second window, and because many of his attacks are multi-hit instances, that extra speed translates directly into more reaction triggers and more passive stacking. On top of that, if your party has Hexenzirkel Secret Rite effects active, you can gain even more crit damage. This weapon essentially compresses everything Varka wants, crit, attack scaling, and raw damage percent into one package. If you're playing a hyper invest, this is a clear winner. If you don't have a signature, the best alternative 5-star option is 1000 Blazing Suns. This weapon gives a strong crit damage stat and provides an attack bonus after using your elemental skill or burst. Considering Varka's rotation resolves around tapping skill into Sturm und Drang and weaving burst into his combo, you'll maintain a very high uptime on the passive. The only downside is losing access to the Night Soul Blessing interaction, but in raw stat value and consistency, this is still one of the strongest non-signature options. Next up is Beacon of the Reed Sea. This gives a solid chunk of crit rate and conditional attack bonuses. The additional max HP bonus when you're not shielded isn't Varka's priority stat, but the offensive stats alone make it competitive. If you're running him without a shielder, which is a very realistic option in a swirl-based or reaction-heavy teams, this weapon performs consistently. Beyond those, Varka can comfortably use several other premium claymores. Redhorn Stone Thresher provides huge crit damage through its defense scaling passive. It's partially wasted on him though. Wolf's Gravestone provides a massive attack and a powerful team buff when enemies are low HP, making it a great option for wave content. Skyward Pride provides energy regeneration and extra vacuum blade procs, helping smooth rotations if you're struggling to burst every rotation. Now, for 4-star players, your best option, and it's not even close, is Serpent Spine. Crit rate plus a stacking damage bonus is exactly what Varka wants during his on-field window. As long as you can maintain stacks, meaning decent dodging or light shielding, it performs incredibly well and punches above its rarity. For true free-to-play players, Prototype Archaic is your safest bet. It's craftable, gives attack percent, and provides a huge AoE attack proc that can add some extra front-loaded damage. It won't compete with crit-based weapons or high investment, but it's reliable and accessible. Other 4-star options include Black Cliff Slasher, which offers crit damage and attack scaling on kills, Made Flower, a reaction-focused option, Tidal Shadow, which provides conditional attack bonuses, and Talking Stick, which can work depending on team composition and elemental uptime. To summarize, if you're hyper investing, go for Ballad of the Mighty Wolf. If you're running strong 5-star alternatives, prioritize crit and attack synergy. If you're 4-star or free to play, Serpent Spine and Prototype Archaic will carry you comfortably through endgame content. Varka scales extremely well with raw offensive stats, so when in doubt, prioritize crit balance first, then attack, and always build around maximizing his Sturm und Drang damage window. When it comes to artifacts, Varka's damage ceiling is heavily tied to how well you amplify his Sturm und Drang window, and there is one set that clearly stands above the rest. A Day Carved from Rising Winds is currently his best in slot option. This set directly increases his attack, which already synergizes with his Dawn Winds March passive. And if you're completed his Witch's Homework requirement, you gain an additional 20% crit rate bonus. That crit rate injection makes balancing his rotations significantly easier, especially if you're running a crit damage weapon. Because Varka scales extremely well with raw attack and consistent crit uptime, this set perfectly complements both his personal scaling and his team-based damage bonuses. If you don't have that set farmed yet, Desert Pavilion Chronic is a very solid alternative, especially if you already have strong substats. The main thing to remember is that you need to open your rotation with a charge attack to activate the set bonus. Since Varka already weaves charge attacks and his special Azure Devour into his combos, this condition is manageable, but it does slightly change your rotation flow. Finally, if you're planning to pair Varka with Farina, then Marchese Hunter provides a competitive option. Farina's HP manipulation makes it easier to maintain Marchese's crit rate stacking effect, allowing Varka to run even higher crit damage investment. While it's more team specific, in the right setup, this combination can rival his primary set in overall performance. As a premier main DPS in Genshin Impact, Varka thrives in teams built specifically to unlock his layered passives and maximizes anemo-driven, swirl-focused damage output. His kit revolves around structured team composition. He requires 2 Hex and Circle characters to activate his Hex and Circle passive, 1 additional anemo teammate to secure the first passive stack, and 2 teammates sharing a swirlable element, Pyro, Hydro, Electro, or Cryo, to unlock his second stack and fully capitalize on his maximum buffs. When these conditions are met, Varka's transitions from a standard anemo DPS into a high scaling reaction-based carry capable of sustained mixed elemental damage. Among all viable teammates, Venti stands out as Varka's most efficient and flexible partner. Venti simultaneously fulfills both the animal and Hex and Circle requirements, dramatically simplifying team building. His powerful crowd control groups enemies into tightly together, enabling consistent swirl reactions, while his ability to amplify swirl damage directly enhances Varka's hybrid damage profile. This synergy allows Varka to deal consistent anemo damage while triggering amplified elemental reactions at scale, making Venti an almost ideal fundamental teammate. Another exceptional partner is Durin. Durin fills both a Pyro slot and a Hex and Circle slot, making him one of the most synergistic teammates in Varka's ideal setup. Beyond simply meeting passive requirements, Durin provides strong offensive buffs in Pyro application, ensuring reliable Pyro swirls. His kit complements Varka's reaction-focused gameplay and significantly boosts overall team damage, particularly in compositions centered around Pyro resonance and reaction amplification. If opting into a Pyro-focused variation, Bennett remains one of the strongest support choices available. His substantial attack buff dramatically increases Varka's personal damage ceiling, while his healing ensures survivability and high-pressure encounters. Bennett also contributes to maintaining consistent Pyro application, enabling stable and repeatable swirl reactions that align with Varka's second passive requirement. For players lacking specific hexerized units, alternative animal supports such as Jean, Farazan, and Aoife remain viable options. Jean offers healing utility alongside resonance. Farazan provides powerful animal damage amplification, and Aoife serves as a flexible animal enabler. However, because these characters do not fulfill the Hexerai requirement, team construction becomes more restrictive, requiring a separate Hexerai unit to fully activate Varka's passive bonuses. Ultimately, Varka's strongest compositions are those that deliberately satisfy all of his passive conditions while enabling consistent elemental application for high-frequency swirl reactions. Teams that combine Venti or Durin with a Pyro core, often including Bennett, tend to provide the most seamless synergy. When properly built, Varka becomes a reaction-driven powerhouse whose damage output scales dramatically with intelligent team synergy and optimized elemental pairing. And that's everything you need to know to fully unlock Varka's potential in Genshin Impact. From mastering his Sturm und Drang window and optimizing his attack scaling, to choosing the right weapon, artifacts, and perfectly structured team, Varka is a hypercarry that rewards intentional investment and smart rotations. When you meet his passive conditions and feed him consistent swirls, he transforms into one of the most explosive team-scaling DPS units in the game. If this guide helped you understand how to build and play the Knight of Boreas at his peak, make sure to like and subscribe and let me know the team composition you're running. I'll see you in the next one. Stay strong and may the winds guide you.